The future of the Laravel platform is about to change. And if you don't want to get left behind, keep watching. Now, we're only 2 weeks into February and 2 months into the year, and things are starting to look very interesting for the Laravel community and Laravel in general. So where do I start? I'm going to start with this. So if you've built some Laravel apps over the last few years, you've more than likely probably used Inertia. So at Laravel EU in Amsterdam, Taylor Otwell announced that they've just acquired Inertia. So what is Inertia really? So I'm going to oversimplify this, and I'm going to say that you can use Inertia to build, single page apps without using like an API. And those single page applications can use something like React, Vue, or Silvet for your front end application. So one of the real significance around this for Laravel is that they're going to be building Inertia support around their starter kits. So whether you're using Vue, React, or Silvet or something else, you'll have that right out of the box. Now, throughout the channel, there are lessons that I've actually shown you guys, and I've used Jetstream, which is also powered by Inertia. So you're going to have the full Laravel team behind this initiative. And I want to say it could be perfect timing or maybe the perfect collaboration. And Evan Yu, the creator of Vue, spoke about the latest version of Vue, which is 3.6. Now, aside from the next major release of Vue, he did talk about some critical things that I think I should mention here. So he talked about a lot of performance improvements, which is just based on what he displayed in his conference, looks phenomenal. He also talked about the way they're going to approach rendering when it comes to Vue. So things like around the virtual DOM and an experimental feature that they're working on called Vapor Mode, which looks very promising. And this kind of makes sense to me as to why the Laravel team would adopt something like Inertia and take it in-house as they're preparing for the next iteration of Vue, React, and any other kind of front-end framework technology. And on top of that, a majority of you may already have known about the ShadCN UI library, which is completely free and open source. And that provides accessible, like well-designed components that you can use with Vue, React, and even Laravel. And that's something I'm definitely going to touch on in the future. Now, speaking of reactivity, there's also another component library that I've used on this channel, and I've given you guys a video around that. And that's Livewire, Alpine.js, and Flux UI. So the Laravel community kind of refers to this as the tall stack. So Tailwind, Alpine, Livewire, and Laravel. So at Laracon EU, Taylor announced that the Laravel 12 starter kits will be using Flux UI. I want to take a moment to say that in this announcement, there's a lot of early adopters who have purchased the Flux UI component library, and now with Laravel version 12, you're getting a set of base components, is my understanding, that will help you generate a starter kit. Now, I'm definitely interested in this, and I want to actually maybe create a video around creating these kinds of kits before Laravel 12 comes out. If you do have a Flux UI library component license, let me know, because that's something I really want to just check out before this thing drops. So on the other hand, this means that you can choose kind of any stack that you want. You can choose Vue, React, and Livewire, and you have a component library for that. And on the Vue spectrum, you have ShadCN UI library, plus there's other libraries out there that I haven't even covered. Now, to me, this is an interesting move. So you've got Flux UI as part of Laravel Starter Kit. You have Inertia 2 being adopted by the Laravel team. And you have Vue 3.6 on the horizon. So there's a lot coming up. And there's one more thing. Taylor also announced that there will be Laravel Cloud coming out in the foreseeable future, I think February 24th. Now, if you're in the DevOps space, this might be something that you may very well be interested in, as it's going to reduce a lot of the complexities around setting up software, integration, faster, more reliable distribution of software. Not only can you cut expenses, but you can also relieve the stress of deployment and manage infrastructure, which is, I think, going to be just a crazy thing that they're going to launch on the 24th. And I'm looking forward to that as well. But what about Laravel Forge? I mean, a lot of people are still using Forge. Is Forge going to be kind of like dead in the water or hanging off this cliff? Taylor said that's not going to be the case. But if we remember the history, I think Forge came out first, and then 5 years later, we had Vapor. And then, many years later, 10 or so plus years, we're now having Laravel Cloud. So the landscape is definitely changing. And for people who have initial investments on these other platforms, what are we going to do, or what's the plan? I'd like to know your thoughts on that. And not to exclude an early access mention of this tool called Nightwatch, which is a monitoring tool for your Laravel applications. And there's a lot of tools out there, and I'm very curious to see how this will integrate with Laravel performance monitoring tools like Horizon. I think there's Pulse. There's a free debug bar and a bunch of other things. And now we're going to have Nightwatch, which is going to be very interesting as well. So we know the ecosystem is changing. Is it going to become more complicated, easier to use? What are your thoughts on that? And I'm very curious as to see who's already invested in some of these tools right now and what the upgrade or integration process is going to be for these tools moving forward. Should you be someone who early adopts something such as, Livewire, Flux UI library, and, there's a library like shadcn out there available, or now that it's integrated into Laravel 12, perhaps with some free components. And there's going to be pro components offered to those people who are early adopters and already adopted that platform. But the moves that are being made right now are very quick. And do you as a developer, or do you as a programmer, or someone, or a team lead, or someone who's using the software have time to adjust and adapt and take a look at these other options outside of Forge and Laravel Cloud, Nightwatch, Horizon, Pulse, and so forth? Let me know your thoughts on this, guys, because things are changing very quickly, and it's going to be interesting to see what the community decides as what tools and implementations and processes they're going to adapt. So really quick recap, we got Inertia 2, we got Vue 3.6 on the horizon, we got Shad UI library, we got Laravel Flux UI component library being integrated into Laravel 12 with some base components. We have the ability to choose our stack like React, Vue, Silvet, you name it. And this is crazy because I think this is the first time that you've been able to be offered such a large variety or a host of options on the platform that you want to choose, or the stack that you want to choose. And this is not including DevOps tools, Forge, Pulse, Horizon, and the like, right? And I've also totally omitted, which I covered on this channel, one of the silent elephants in the room, Tailwind version 4, is also taking advantage, I would assume, of all these types of things in the new framework as well. So this video is actually a little bit longer than what I would have liked, but there's a lot going on here. And I'm actually, on the next video, I want to create some layouts using Flux UI and maybe even take a look at Shad. I want to see, what you can create right now versus what's going to come up in the future. So don't forget to turn on your notifications, subscribe to the channel if you need to. Leave your comments and thoughts below for me, and tell me what you think of the next iteration of Laravel coming up in just the next couple of weeks. Take care of yourself, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. I hope you found that useful. Please leave me your thoughts and comments. Do check out the description below for additional resources. And if you're looking for additional content, I highly recommend that you watch the next upcoming video.